In this video, we're going to go over tuning 4L60s from 1999 to 2007 Classic. The first thing you're going to do is read out your file out of your PCM. You're going to go over transmission. And you can see that's a 4L60. It has the Prindle equipped. Here's your gear ratios in the transmission. Here's your force motor current. These are all your shift points. Then we have shift pressures. These are your adapts, shift pressures, shift timing, torque converter lockup, and then torque management. So a very nice tool to get is Blue Cat transmission tool. It is all over the internet on the forums, and it looks like this. And I will show you how to use this calculator. It will help tremendously in tuning your 4L60. So the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to go grab our tire size and gear ratio. So you can go to Gear Tire Wizard, and it tells you your tire size and gear ratio. We're going to enter 373, and then our tire size, 31.60. And then your desired idle speed, which we have 625 in this file. Max shift RPM, we'll say 5850. And then right here you have these. I set them to 5850 as well. That's specific. So whatever I do in the drive RPM, I usually put. And this is supposed to be by gear, but that's what I do. So I set them all the same. The next thing we're going to have to do is our lockup. I'll just leave it at 2000. Here's your shift slope. So depending on what throttle body you have, this changes. We're working on a 2002 Tahoe with drive-by-wire. So it's going to be 0203 truck ETC. And so this is going to give you a good guideline to go by. And what we can do is we can go export and then click export window. It will give you this window that will stay open in front of HP Tuners for while you adjust stuff. So the first thing you can do is go over to your main shift table, normal, under part throttle shifts. You can copy the entire table and drop it in there. You have your wide open throttle shift point. You can drop that in there as well. You have your wide open throttle RPM. So usually with this, I adjust this and play around a little bit. If you actually set this to 5850, you'll actually have a throttle hang a little bit. So what will happen is you'll go wide open and it'll just hit the limiter and won't shift. Then after it meets the speed requirement, it will shift. So sometimes you have to play around with these numbers a little bit. It's not perfect. It just gives you a baseline to get you going, and then you should tune from there. So we'll just say 5800. Actually, we'll go 5850. And then we're going to go back to our full throttle shifts, and we're going to pull 2 miles per hour off of them. And usually that gets you really close. And so that is part throttle shifts, full throttle shift, and then if you don't want the vehicle to upshift into second gear when you're doing a burnout, you can set this to 255, and you can set the D1 Urban 1 to 2 shift to 255 or 256, whatever you want, either one. And what that does is keeps it from automatically upshifting when you're in first gear on the Prindle. So that's that. And then performance is tow haul on the trucks and Tahoes. You have four-wheel drive low shift points. So if you like dirt drag racing, stuff like that, these are going to be your tables you're going to adjust for that. And then under shift pressures, a lot of times what I do is I don't go crazy on shift pressure. I'll take tow haul, shift pressure, and bring that over to normal mode. And then for shift times, a good rule of thumb is nothing under 0.3. You really don't have to adjust this. If you tune the rest of the transmission correctly, it will actually shift faster than the desired shift time on this table. And if you set this too low or to 0, like I see some videos of, it does smoke the clutches really quickly in a 60. So leaving this alone or just bring it down to 0.3 in these lower torque areas seems to be okay. I would definitely not go below 0.3. Some guys like to zero it out and just let it shift as fast as possible, but it does cause excessive wear on the clutches. This one factory does shift at 0.2, which is actually kind of rare to see, um, but it is also at a much higher torque than what this vehicle actually makes. So something to keep in mind there. And same, you can see in performance, GM has it 0.3. Sometimes you'll see 0.25 shifts. It just depends on the vehicle. Torque converter. This is your TCC duty cycle. You don't have to do anything here on a stock converter. It's already sufficient. Right here you have your apply and release times. And if we click next on Blue Cat, it will give us a table that's a good baseline starting point. And then you can actually manually adjust these to your preference after driving and logging this. Torque management. So I like to leave torque management in for the trans on the shift points. Abuse mode, you can disable abuse mode. I don't actually flip the switch. I set this to a higher RPM than the truck will actually see. And then torque reduction, I'll explain this a little bit to you guys. So everyone's like, okay, well, what does this number mean? So the number is the row under torque management here. So this is what this means. So 1 to 2 shift, it's 22%. So it's going to be pulling 23 degrees of timing to 24. So we'll just say 23.5 degrees of timing when it shifts. And a lot of guys zero this retard table out here. And what happens is the trans acts really, really dumb. It starts shifting really bad, really harsh. You really do want it to pull timing for shifts. They last a lot longer and you don't save much time on a quarter-mile track anyway. So longevity is much better keeping torque management here. And some people like to go in here and reduce this by 10%. There's no real gain in doing that. They don't shift better. If anything, on high horsepower bills to save a 4L60 to make it last longer, I'll actually increase the amount of torque pulled. And basically the torque is being pulled by pulling timing. So let's say we're making 600 horse. I'm probably going to pull closer to 35 degrees, 36 degrees, which would be 53%. So we would put 53 in here, like so. And now it's going to pull 35 degrees of timing when it shifts at 408 foot-pounds of torque. A lot of people don't have a very good understanding of how that works, so I wanted to make this video to teach people the proper way of tuning a 4L60. And you have your desired torque table here. You don't have to do anything here. This can be left alone. So that's pretty much it for tuning a stock 4L60. And that should get you going. You will have to play with your shift scheduling and your torque converter lockup points a little bit more, but the Blue Cat transmission tool gets you pretty close. Thanks for watching.